tension today, China has recently grown more aggressive in asserting its presence over the South China Sea, parts of which are claimed by 6 other governments. Tensions surged last week when Chinese Coast Guard ships rammed and boarded Philippine Navy vessels attempting to resupply the Sierra Madre, a rusted warship beached on a half-submerged reef known as the Second Thomas Shoal. The confrontation left a sailor severely injured and sparked calls for a response from the United States, which has a mutual defense treaty with the Philippines. Since the incident, U.S. officials at the highest levels have been debating an appropriate response, said one official in Asia, who like others spoke on the condition of anonymity because of the matter's sensitivity. Something needs to be done, said the official, who works on security issues. Do we want to commit to something that could spiral out of control? That's very much a factor at play. Visiting nearby Vietnam over the weekend, U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for East Asia and Pacific Affairs Daniel Kritenbrink called China's actions at Second Thomas Shoal deeply destabilizing. The level of anxiety on this issue among countries in this region is very high, said a second U.S. official. So the Chinese have miscalculated here. Campbell said U.S. officials have lodged diplomatic protests on the incident to the Chinese government. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning asserted at a news conference Monday that Second Thomas Shoal is Chinese territory. Our message to the Philippines is very clear. Stop the infringement activities and provocations, she said. Separate from the joint exercise with the United States, the Philippines will attempt another resupply mission to the Sierra Madre, potentially as soon as this week, according to U.S. and Philippine officials. And U.S. officials will be watching to see how that goes. In a change of policy, the Philippines will now be publicly announcing the resupply missions ahead of time, said the National Maritime Council, an interagency body that Marcos Jr. convened earlier this year to manage the dispute with China. Richard Haydarian, a senior lecturer at the Asian Center of the University of the Philippines, called on the United States to take steps to directly support the resupply missions to the Sierra Madre, and to declare that any lethal attack on Philippine military personnel would be grounds to trigger the Mutual Defense Treaty. There's a need to restore some element of deterrence, Haydarian said in an interview. But any U.S. involvement in the resupply missions to the Sierra Madre would have to come at the request of the Philippines, U.S. and Filipino officials said. While the United States has provided technical and logistical support on previous resupply missions, Manila has deliberately not asked for the United States to join in executing these missions, said a top Philippine defense official. That's still the policy after the recent incident at Second Thomas, said the Philippine official. U.S. officials affirmed this. That whole operation is meant to be a demonstration of Philippine sovereignty, said the Indo-Pacific Command representative. Giving that up to the U.S. is not something they want. Manila gives mixed messages on South China Sea. Good cop, bad cop approach reflects internal conflicts in Philippine government. After a Philippines official who chairs the National Maritime Council said the confrontation between the Philippines and China at China's Renajiao was probably a misunderstanding or an accident. The country's defense secretary Gilberto Teodoro accused China of an aggressive act and illegal use of force on Monday. Some Chinese experts said this reflected the internal confusion within the Philippines regarding its policies or specific methods for handling maritime issues. Meanwhile, Philippine Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo told a Senate inquiry on Tuesday that the Philippines is working hard to bring China back to the table for talks to resolve differences in the South China Sea. This good cop, bad cop approach by the Philippine government actually reflects the internal conflicts among various departments. Some experts believe the latest statement from Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. also indicates his very limited ability to control various departments, institutions, and political forces, they noted. Manila has come to a conclusion that it was not a misunderstanding or an accident, Philippine Defense Secretary Teodoro told a briefing Monday, Bloomberg reported. A day after he and Marcos Jr. visited troops of the Philippines Western Command. The comments were made after Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, who also chairs the National Maritime Council of the Philippines, said the confrontation between the Philippine personnel and the China Coast Guard was probably a misunderstanding or an accident. Reuters reported on Friday.